Fiji water. Drink the Fiji.
Also brought to you by Bang Energy. Please respond to my emails. I beg you.
Water in your bang. Water down your bang with Fiji water.
Straight from the Isles of Fiji. The mountains of Fiji.
The mountains.
Should I switch us? Is it weird being on opposite sides?
No, it just looks like we crashed and it uploaded again.
Oh, I guess. I don't know. Let me see. I can do it. I mean, I can swap it. Uh-oh. That messed up Phil's thing. Go figure. Man. Wait, there you are.
I mean, there I am.
Time out. You were frozen. I was like, well, look at that. I touched something, and of course...
yeah, I got the black spinny swirly thing on the screen, so...
I can now.
Excellent. Good. Yes.
What's up, fellas?
Oh.
And Billy Jenkins. Ladies, gentlemen, Billy Jenkins. I tried to get him in the group chat, but I guess we're full on. Like, you literally can't add more people.
Oh, so, on the Instagram one?
Yeah.
So. Oh, okay. We'll get him in there.
It's dumb.
We'll get him in there. We'll get him in
there. Tonight is the night that we are drawing for the May raffle. I got our handy dandy number picker ready to go. The Dollar Tree special. Classic. I'm sorry, I don't trust the random number generators online because I found that they don't seem to be all that random.
Fair enough.
So, I mean, I'm going to take this guy and I'm going to shake it up real good before I start rolling it and stuff. And I don't know if you guys can hear those fireworks off in the distance. I guess people think that if it's some sort of American holiday, then it must be 4th of July, and that means we just use fireworks. So.
America.
All right. Get it nice and shook. So there's 30. There's 30 balls in here. Before we get into it, I'm letting people know that the 18 ball has disappeared, so I've replaced it with the number 38. So if 38 gets drawn, it's actually number 18. Everything else is in there.
It's a conspiracy.
Yeah. So if you have not gotten in there, we'll give people a few minutes to jump in and do it. If you go to the herpeticulturenetwork.com, it's the first post at the top of the page there. I'd link it, but it sends StreamYard into a spasm. So, yeah. Rangers Game 7, Snakes and Stogies. What a combo. Hell yeah. I'm a Colorado guy, so.
Chris, I got to be honest. I hate the Rangers. I'm sorry.
Why? Because Gretzky?
No. Originally, it was because of Yager, but Yager's kind of a baller, especially with that whole blackmail thing when he was dating the 22-year-old. I thought that was hilarious. People need to Google it. It's hilarious. But honestly, because I'm a diehard Devils fan, and I'm cool with Islanders people. I'm cool with Sabres people. I'm cool with Philly people, man. My whole family's from Philly. My whole family's Flyers fans, except for me. But the Rangers, I just can't do it, man. Makes my blood warm. But tonight, aside from all of the crazy hockey escapades, cigar smoking, and amazing Raffle.
Oh, he froze. You froze again. Stop. Stop speaking. What about Detroit? When was the last time the Red Wings were good? It's been a minute. If you can hear me, Phil, you're frozen again. Off to a great start. Yeah, I've heard Colorado's been doing well this year, which is good. I really don't keep up with pro hockey as much as I used to. I watch it when I can, but when I was a kid, for whatever reason, Colorado was the team I always enjoyed and liked and rooted for, and that was back when they had Waugh and like Foote and Sakic and all those other guys. Sort of the early 2000s, late 90s Colorado Dream Team sort of deal. This episode, so this is episode 122 of Snakes and Stogies. This episode is brought to you by blackboxcages.com. So we're going to be doing a raffle for June, and a BioG, I believe, is what we have lined up for that raffle. I'll have to see. It's on the list. So check them out. Facebook, Instagram. Jake and I actually filmed a video of his black box setups yesterday that I'm in the process of editing. And then while we were there, we also did sort of a collection update. So there will be two separate videos, one on Jake's black box stuff, and then one on his updated collection, because it's been a few years since we've really shown off any of the stuff Jake has, and since everything in his spot has sort of changed drastically in terms of what he's keeping. Figured it was, while I was there, while I was filming, might as well get an updated collection tour. So that will be coming soon. And then Puget Sound Pythons, check them out, Facebook, Instagram. They were just out in Kansas and did some herping, and it sounds like they found some pretty cool stuff. So, well, we saw pictures of it. It was very cool stuff. So I don't know if they're going to do like a video, or if they shot any video while they were out there, or if they were just enjoying their time. Either way, it looked like a nice trip. Kansas is not a state that you typically think of when it comes to herping, but according to Dr. Loafman, it's actually it's a good state to go herping. Like, there's a lot of stuff to see and find. So
yeah, there's actually some pretty incredible cane breaks that come out of there, believe it or not. I had no idea. Well, I was attempting to do a long-winded intro, but clearly you took care of that.
Well, you froze up and then you disappeared. So.
Well, it's because you insulted the StreamYard gods, and it bumped me, dude. It wasn't even my internet. I did a speed check, and I'm like, I'm running light speed. And
StreamYard's just struggling.
It kicked me out. It booted me.
What are you smoking on tonight?
Well, I'm going to be honest. It is so hot and so...
Well, all right. Sounds awesome, Phil. Thanks. Earl's Exotics, our female northern pine snake is nesting, digging all over the enclosure. That's awesome. One day I'll have the space for some northerns, because I would like, at least, I just want a pair. Like, I have my southern. She's cool. I really enjoy her. It is going to be that kind of night, Clint. I like northerns the most, I think. Out of all the Pituovis, I think northerns are what do it for me. I like Kankakee bulls too, but seeing Jake's, so Jake's got a really killer pair of albino southerns, and I saw those this weekend for the first time. There was a ton of stuff that I saw for the first time in a very long time over at his place, because, I mean, frankly, outside of THP, we don't see each other a whole lot. You know, our work schedules, now they're fairly similar, but before, the work schedules just didn't line up. We didn't really hang out much, so went over to his new place, saw his stuff. He's got some killer stuff, like the Pituovis he's got. It's a small group, but it is very choice. The albino southerns, like I was talking about, it's a killer pair. Some of the corns he's got are awesome, especially the ones from Chris. And Popwins. He's still got plenty of Popwins, Popwin carpets. They're all looking really good too. His yellow rats, you'll see it all. I mean, we literally went almost pretty much from tub to tub in the video that we did with his stuff. So you'll see all of it. At some point, I don't know when I got to go through and upload all that too, and edit it and whatnot. So you'll see the black box video before you see the collection video, but I was going to try and space them out a little bit. And let's see. So once again, if you have not gotten a slot, there's 2 slots left on the custom cigar band Snakes and Stogies tumbler. There's 2 spots left on that. So get in where you fit in. Let's see if I'm missing anything else. Let's see. We'll go ahead and just bring it up. How about that? There's some spots left on the carpet python. There's some spots left on the isopods. We've been showing off this carpet lately. How much has been raised so far? We are at about 690, it looks like. So we're looking good. Yes. So if you go to herpeticulturenetwork.com, we got a handful of spots left on the carpet. Not a lot. The tumbler, like I said, I just showed you guys that. We got 2 slots left there. And then on the isopods, got a handful of slots there as well. So it's the let me see, 12 count powder orange isopods, a gallon bag of oak leaves, and 4 magnolia seed pods donated by the fine folks at Puget Sound Pythons. Eric Hernandez, who produced this nice coastal, red coastal, I believe he's in the chat, or at least he was when we first started. So 2 slots. I thought about opening it up and see if Phil was cool with it. If people wanted to get a 3rd slot for any of these, they could. I don't know if, like, for people that are like here live. So carpet is nice. It's going to be killer, man. It's going to be a good looking snake. It is a good looking snake, but it's only going to get better. It's going to age like a fine wine, just like Phil. Breeding updates. So pretty much where we left off Thursday, I have my blood red pied female is in her prelay shed. So hopefully that means some eggs coming in the next coming weeks. The other Beaufort County female that I've been trying to get something from, I've had the male paired with her off and on for a couple weeks now. They're both in shed, so I'm hoping that means something happened. We'll see. Got some sheds from some chondros. So I got a chondro from Luke Myers that I've had since like 2019 that I was sure was a female. Went and checked the shed because it gave me a perfect shed, and it was a male. So it's a pair of big old plugs. Go figure. I am very male heavy as far as chondros go, as I'm sure a lot of you are aware. My holdback Biak shed, that was one that I was fairly certain was a male. Pretty sure it's a female. So there's all kinds of goofy stuff happening over this weekend. Sex changes among chondros and stuff. So I'll take it. I'm not complaining. I mean, the snakes aren't going to go anywhere regardless. It's been a sausage fest, you know, in the as far as chondros go over here. So we'll see what happens long term. Hopefully, some of the other ones that I'm fairly certain are females will remain that way. Yeah, I don't know how Phil's doing with knobs yet. We'll see. That's awesome. Johnny said, I got my first set of eggs like a week ago and I'm obsessed. Yeah. I don't know what his deal is. He hasn't texted me saying he's just what the issue is, but something is struggling. I bet you just restarted his computer, so now we're just waiting. I am ready to draw, though. I'm excited. Like I'm pumped for this this raffle. All the raffles that we have planned coming up are going to be pretty awesome, you know. And I've talked about it before. You know, it's just a nice, relatively simple no drama, like straightforward way to raise some money for ASF and whoever else we decide to raise money for. Yeah, Johnny, what species of knobs do you have? It's another group that I'd like. Oh, okay, Sanctus. Yeah, that's another group that I'd like one or two of. Nothing too crazy. They're definitely cool. Like I understand why Phil likes them so much. Like they're little aliens, but I can't go too crazy on the gecko thing because I don't have a ton of space to devote to it. So we'll see. Ow. I just ashed right on my knee. It hurts so good. Got plenty. So all the eggs are looking good too that are in the incubator right now. Minus that hypo or het hypo Baird's clutch. The two that came out good are still going strong, but the other handful of eggs that were kind of like I figured they weren't good, they were already turning blue and molding and stuff like that. So looks like I'll have two of those offspring from that clutch, and that's okay. I've got plenty of other stuff that's going to be occupying my time, especially if these other two corns lay. I am very curious to see if the Diones ends up double clutching. That's cool too. I never kept Eurodactyl lighties, but they were on my list when I was heavy into geckos and stuff. They were. I really wanted to get my hands on some. They were kind of expensive for what they were at the time. I don't know if they've come down at all or not, but they were pretty pricey when I wanted them. Oh, he needs a new code. Let's see. It's weird. Like those, when you handle them, they move. It's almost like a. I don't want to say it's almost snake-like, but there's just this odd like glide, like when they move over your arm or your hand, like or like a surface. Like there's just. I can't describe it. It's like, remember those little fake weasel toys you used to get that have like the invisible string and you used it to like trick people, I guess. It was like a little fuzzy thing and it would kind of just like move very fluid. Yeah, see, I think when I was Chris said I got mine for like $225 ish each if I remember. And I think when I was looking at them they were like $400 a pop if I'm not mistaken. He lives.
I'm alive. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Dude, everything's running tip top. Speeds are good. Internet's good. Wi-Fi is good. Shit just won't load. Oh, but I'm back. Sorry, guys.
Capitiller. Yes. Just giving some breeding updates. How I had some chondros pull the old switcheroo, sex change.
Really? Oh, I saw your shed with the plugs.
Yeah, so I was telling the good people, what was it? This morning I woke up and my Biak holdback had shed, which was funny because I didn't even know it was in shed, but it shed fine, which speaks to the pothos in the tub thing.
Excellent.
And I was like, oh, sweet. Like, it should have plugs because I've been fairly convinced that this one's a male. Pull the shed out. Little wings of a female. Like,
right.
Not even like a really a question of like they might be plugs. Like this was a girl. So one that I thought was a boy was actually not. One that I thought was a girl actually was not. So who knows what's going to go on? They're all at that age, minus the smallest one from Luke that was only a yearling now, but they're all kind of at that age where like I expect plugs if they're going to give them, like they're getting to that size and that time frame where you can start looking for them reliably.
Yeah.
And I guess lack thereof too. So
Sure.
It is what it is. Like I said, I'm not complaining. You know, the snakes aren't going to go anywhere regardless. I don't care if they're boys or girls. I'm just happy to have them.
Yeah. And it is nice to. So you didn't gain a female per se. You just flip flop snakes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. At least your ratio is still the same.
Yeah, I'm still male heavy, which I don't typically complain about. You know, it's especially with chondros and some of that other stuff where, you know, they can be a little more picky about males, and males can be just scared shitless of the females and not want anything to do with them. You know, to have others on hand is definitely not a bad thing. Not a bad thing to have. So.
Oh yeah, of course. I'm male heavy on the rinks, so.
Someone did ask about your. It is not Christian. If you go to the Herpetoculture Network website, it shows you where and how to grab some slots, giving people a few extra minutes just to get some. I wasn't sure if you wanted to open it up, Phil, so people could get a third one if they wanted to.
A third slot? Sure.
Yeah.
If we have slots available, then
We
absolutely.
do. I mean, we only have 2 on the cup, so that's what we got. What we got.
Yeah, first come, first serve.
For everything else, we'll give it another like 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, I'm totally cool with that. Yeah.
Someone did ask about knobtails and sort of where you were at with yours.
I got chubby females, and they're laying flat on the sand, like distributing the weight of their belly on the sand. So I'm really hoping that there is some follicle egg action. One of them for sure has something percolating up in there. I don't know if it's just her, you know, going through an egg cycle or if she's actually fertilized, because I never watched copulation, but she was with a male for a full 24 hours. So who knows? And then the other one that I actually saw confirmed locks with, she looks good, but nowhere near as rotund as the other one. I tried new Sterilite for lay boxes, and I can see that the geckos are on top of the box, but I can't see if they're actually going in them. So I just completely removed the lid. I removed the lid this morning. So after tonight, I'm gonna leave them alone tonight, and then tomorrow morning I'll see if like they moved anything around or if there's any feces in the box, because I think they're apprehensive to go inside it. You know what I mean? So I figure if I just take the whole lid off, it's obviously new. They've never seen this thing before. It probably smells like plastic, whatever. And I used for a media, I used sand from their enclosure, so it 100% smells like them. So. And we'll see what happens. That's where I'm at right now. Chubby females. So, and cigar of the night, because I didn't get a chance to do it. Arturo Fuente, Gren Reserve, the little guy.
Was it a short story?
I don't remember.
I'm not looking at the screen right now. That's why. Let me hold it up. Yeah. Oh, maybe that's like the sun-grown, the Chateau sun-grown. I think that's what that is.
I don't know. I don't even know where I got it from, but I was digging around in my larger humidor today. I was like, man, that thing's got to be in there for a long time. I better smoke it. So, and it still had a little hickory wrap on it, so I was like, all right, cool. But it is so gross, muggy, humid, disgusting.
Yeah, dude, it's been.
Oh, it's so bad right now. I'm sweating like crazy. I did some outdoor stuff today, and I was at my mom's house for a little Memorial Day, you know, get the family together kind of thing. And dude, it was just so gross out. Literally, like,
yeah, it's freaking miserable, dude.
Tis the season. But I got a chance to, so I call them Anna Maria's nephews, but they're not her actual nephews. They're her cousin's children, but she's very, very
like
close.
Second cousins, I guess.
I guess it. Yeah, I guess it would be.
I never really understood that whole.
Yeah,
how the whole thing works. But
well, she grew up.
Second cousins.
Yeah, it's not second cousin. Sounds right. So she grew up. The majority of her like high school life living with this cousin, so they're very, very close. They're basically sisters, and and they're great people. And she's got 3 boys who are very into outdoor nature, animals, that kind of thing. They have a bearded dragon, and they were asking, they're like, oh man, can we see snakes in the wild? We want to see turtles in the wild. And I was like, the weather's kind of crappy, but I said, do you guys have anything to do tonight? And they're like, no, why don't we go look for some stuff? And then, if we see something great, and if not, we'll just go back to the house and get pizza. And I said, that sounds like a plan. So
either way, you're a winner.
Either way, we're winners, So took the kids out. It was drizzly and cold. It was actually really cold, which is crazy because it's so hot today. It was like, and obviously this isn't cold, but cold for reptiles. It was like 65, 66 and drizzly. So didn't see any snakes, didn't see any turtles or alligators, but got some great amphibian action. And let me see, I was trying to pull it up on my phone to see if it got to the computer or not. I'll probably
Christian Parr, Brendan Meyer got the number 6 slot before you did. So you want me to you pick another number if you're listening? At Brendan Myers, he's a quick one.
Sniper. So we're driving, through this like wetland habitat that's close to their house, and there's a frog in the road. And at first I thought it was a cane toad, but it was too round, in my opinion. So I was like, stop the car. And I hop out. Yes, I did, Billy. And it's rare to find cane toads out in the bush. They're very much an urban species where I am. I mean, they inhabit agricultural areas, but to find them in like a natural preserve or something is very, very rare. So I'm trying to pull this photo up and stretch out. So long story long, it's the biggest southern toad I've ever found in my entire life. And I had to get a picture of this thing, and the lighting was really, really poor. So I didn't get a good photo of just the frog, but look at the size of this southern toad. And I mean, maybe I just got little baby ones by me and I'm not used to it. And people may think, oh, that's a normal sized one. There's nothing special about it. But I was just so impressed with this animal. That thing is diesel. Because I mean, normally they're smaller than your palm.
Yeah,
this thing was like juvenile bullfrog size.
That thing ain't missing a meal.
No, it's definitely not. So here, I'll try and zoom in on just the toad, if I can.
Just the toad.
Just the toad. So, but it was cool, man. The kids liked seeing them. Let the kids touch them, play with them a little bit, and
let them get beat on.
He actually, or she, it, whatever, actually didn't. So really wasn't squirmy. I think it was because it was so chilly out. So, but it was a good time. Good time with the kids, getting the kids out in nature, getting the kids seeing reptiles and amphibians in the wild. That's what it's all about. So
we have broken $700.
Excellent. Thank you, everybody. Speaking of Anna Maria, she's in the group chat. What's up, gorgeous?
You saw that. What else? You guys found that awesome corn.
Oh, yeah. That corn was great.
What'd you end up doing with that? Did you hold on to it, or did you?
I let it go. So I have my cousins. We're talking about Anna Maria's cousins. My cousins, they live down here now. They've been here like 5 years now in South Florida. They're originally from Philadelphia. And my cousin's stepdaughter came down to visit for a week. And she'd never been in the Everglades. So, they asked us, hey, can we go? We'll see some stars, try and find some snakes. So we went out to a fairly frequented hunting area. And we saw some Nerodia, saw some leopard frogs, and then we got that corn, which was great. Dude, gorgeous corn. It was probably 6 to 8 months old.
Really nice.
Really nice corn. Silky smooth. It must have just have shed. And I look at Anna Maria and I'm like, should we keep it? And she's like, it's up to you. And I was like, you know what? Let's enjoy this moment. We'll take a bunch of pictures. I'll let them go. Let them grow some more. Maybe we'll find them in the future. Who knows? So I let them go. And we drove around a little bit, got to one of my campsites that I have kind of like I made like an improvised camp out in the bush. Take some star photos with cell phones, long exposure, saw some shooting stars. Everybody had a good time. As we're leaving, I hit the dirt road to leave. And I mention this to people all the time that spotlighting in Florida is illegal, especially in public land. It doesn't matter what you're spotlighting, just spotlighting in general is illegal. And I always tell
like
people
from a car,
from a vehicle, yeah, 100%. If you're looking for your keys in the bushes because you dropped them, that's totally different. But you driving around and shining a spotlight out at nature is against the law. Well, I guess somebody saw us. We weren't doing it. Somebody saw us driving around, not in hunting season, and called Fish and Wildlife on us.
Nice.
So we got pulled over, and obviously had nothing to hide. But I'm glad I didn't keep that corn snake. Where we were, I could have kept it. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's just one more thing I don't want to deal with.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm licensed and permitted. It's no big deal. But again, I don't have to explain that to Fish and Wildlife. I mean, their job is to enforce the law, not memorize it. So I get that. But the guy who pulled us over was super cool. He was looking for deer poachers. So, he was looking for rifles and spotlights, and we didn't have any of that. The worst part was
no, but check out this big ass toad, dude.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And the worst part is at one point, we've got the doors of the vehicle open. Everyone's in the car. I'm out of the car talking to the cop. And he says, "So what are you guys doing out here? Just herping?" And I was like, "Well, I mean, I'm a herper, but they just wanted to see stars, and we get some photos."
Nerds.
And I said, "Hey, they're from up north. They're from Philly, down visiting." And like, I was just speaking in generalities, And my cousin blurts out, what do you mean? We live here. I've been here 5 years. And I was like, come on, man. Like, it's not that big a deal, but you get
I'm a native. I'm a local now.
Yeah, throw me under the bus right in front of Fish, like lying to Fish and Wildlife's face. I mean, I wasn't really lying. And then luckily his stepdaughter was like, "Hey, I'm visiting. I am not from here. We're on vacation." Haha. So it was funny. I think the cop knew it was what, and he knew we weren't obviously deer poaching. So we left and everything was good. But it's just funny.
Didn't see the giant 10-point strapped to the back of your car.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then one point he's like, "Hey man, do you mind if I look in the trunk?" I said, "Sure." And I popped the trunk for him. And there's the big giant 5-gallon bucket with the screw on lid that says "Danger, venomous reptiles, do not open, blah, blah, blah." And he's like, "Hey man, really? The bucket?" And I was like, "I'll open it. There's no snakes in it." And I unscrewed the lid and showed him. And it's just funny, man, because like clearly it didn't faze him. You know what I mean? But it's definitely not something he sees every day. So I thought that was funny. But yeah, always know your laws, always know where you are and what you're allowed to do and what you're allowed to touch and or take. So be mindful of it. Word of the wise.
Should we roll the wheel of fortune?
Why don't we do this? Why don't we roll the cup? We'll give it a little bit.
Okay.
Then we'll roll. So we've got 3 going or 2 going. I forget.
3.
All right. So we'll roll. So it's cup, and then
we got
ISOs.
one spot left on the cup, man.
Somebody throw an extra spot.
Somebody fill it up. Fill up the cup.
I say we roll for the cup first because I feel like that's even though that's like a special one,
That was the one that was like, I mean, I expected the carpet one to get a ton of.
Steve Poole says he's going to jump in it.
There we go. So, PayPal, $10, 2snakesandstogies@gmail.com.
Yeah, we'll give Mr.
the
Poole,
word AND, not the ampersand.
Yeah, we'll give Mr. Poole a minute to do that. We'll draw for the cup. We'll cover a couple more topics. We'll draw for the isopods, and then we'll save the carpet for the grand finale. Does that sound good?
Sure.
Rock and roll.
Rock and roll. Come on. You can do this. Keyboard.
Actually, what I'll do is I'll send a picture of that corn snake because that corn snake was pretty.
Yeah, dude, that thing was just. I was amazed at how bright it was. Just color wise, it was just like you don't. It could have just been the flash, but I feel like a lot of that actually wasn't the flash.
No, man, dude. I'll be honest. If
All right.
If
We
if
got
I didn't have everybody in the car, I probably would have took it home. But still, it's
Yeah.
let someone
Yeah.
else find them and take pictures of them too.
You gotta read the room.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Hold on, I'm sending that corn real quick.
Okay,
We'll
you do
give-
that. I'm gonna
You got Steve Pools?
Yes.
All right, cool. So then let's roll it, baby.
Hold on a second. I'm trying to. Damn it.
Dominique says, "What's up to everybody in the room?"
To make sure it's good and mixed up. Okay, for the cup that comes with a straw and the little skull straw holder deal thing.
Limited edition.
Made
One
by
of 3.
Made by D. Morris at Ardor Creations. As I'm trying to mix this up, these things keep popping out. Okay. Let me set this back at the top. Are we ready?
We're ready.
All right. It's like the goblet of fire. What do we got here? 3.
Numero 3. Who had number 3?
That is Brennan Meyer.
Hey, Mr. Meyer. Congratulations.
Boom. Nice.
Awesome possum. That's great. Good for him, man. That's good.
So I have enough bands and one more sticker to get another one of these made. So I'll see if I can get D to make another one, and we'll do another one next month. So
hell yeah, sounds great. We're gonna
That's
have her
awesome.
start numbering these things.
Yeah.
Is Meyer in here? Oh, he is.
Yeah, there, he's right there.
Excellent.
Brenda
Excellent.
got it.
Congratulations, brother.
It's still wrapped up. It's still. I'll include a little cup of my blood if you want.
Oh,
For a keepsake.
Jesus.
I don't know.
Beard hairs, toenail clippings, the full
All the things to make a
Sasquatch
voodoo
package.
doll with.
Yep.
You know?
Or a shrine to Smitty.
All right, where's that corn? Did you already show it?
No, I didn't show it. We were doing the roly roll.
Well, I was busy.
I know. right.
Things, you know.
And there's the corn. So yeah, man, a hell of a specimen.
Who took
I
the
would.
pictures? Like what?
What's that?
Someone using what camera? Is someone using like a
That's my
camera?
No, that's my iPhone 11, and I'm holding it in front of my face. And I realize that I have to look at the animal, because if I look at the camera, I look deranged. Because there's no light, like it's pitch black, and then the screen illuminates white to give the backlight, And I guess when that happens,
looks so sharp.
it is. Here, let me zoom in on this thing. It was great.
I mean, I do I'm not an iPhone guy, but I do give them credit. Like their cameras are light years better than the Samsung ones, and I'm a hardcore Samsung guy for as far as phones go. So
yeah, man. And I like how you can see how
you rub your toes on it for me. What?
Oh, jeez.
You don't want that, dude. Put it right between my big one and my index one to be like a line of Vaseline around the edge of it. Whoa.
Yeah. But I mean, even dude, look at like the sunset in the background, man. That came out great.
Yeah, it was an awesome picture.
And
Look at how happy
shout
that
out,
guy is.
Dude, I was so happy. Shout out to Conixis for the shirt too. Look at that.
Yeah, I want one of the co-op shirts with the black and yellow shell.
Yeah, Conixis co-op. Check it out. Our boy Jay.
In fact,
making shit happen.
Now that I work at a shirt making company, I'll have to hit up Mr. Tyler Brooks and make him a custom.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Because we can do stuff like that.
Dude, they need a working group shirt like that. I need a Conixis working group shirt.
I've got a co-op and a working group sticker on my car, both.
Excellent.
I don't know. I have an S20. I think it's an S20. And the camera on it is worse. I don't think it's any better. Like the older version, when I had like an S, I don't know, like a 15 or something like that. Like I thought the camera on that was better than the camera on this one, but iPhone's just got them beat.
You know what? You know what it is too. Is I play around. Can't talk tonight. I play around with a lot of the settings too, so I know that if I'm going to be in that twilight time where there's still light from the sun, but it's actually set, and I got the headlights from the car going in the background, and I know that if I do flash on the selfie mode, not the back of the phone, the front face of the screen, that seems to come out the best. But the problem is you can only do that with selfies because you can't see what you're shooting. So when I actually use the phone, like the screen itself as a viewfinder, that's when I'll do I'll tap the screen and feather the exposure and try and get it as good as I can,
Mm-hmm.
So
Well,
hey, Vic Lorano in the house.
hey, let me see. Someone sent me a message on the podcast. Maybe it was the magazine, or we got tagged in it or something. I don't know, but I thought it was interesting, so I figured I wrote it down to talk about. Let me see if I could find it. I sent it to myself. I think we got tagged in it.
Sweet.
Yes.
While you do that, I will send another picture.
And it's a multiple question post, but it is thought-provoking and it is interesting.
Excellent.
And I figured me and Jake will also have to talk about it at one point because I'm curious to get Jake's thoughts on all of this.
She's going to hate me for posting that picture, but how happy is that girl with her corn snake?
Boy, what?
How happy is that girl with her corn snake? Look at that.
Guitatas are a girl's best friend.
Guitatas are a girl's best friend. And I mean, dude, even this one, like even the blurriness, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's odd
smoker.
How light it is. Yeah, it's interesting. It's different.
I wish it had stood still. I mean, she was honestly tiring it out, and by the time that I took my selfie, it was pretty tuckered out, but very, very little black, which I prefer a higher, Sharpie marker, Abbott black, but the dude, that snake was stellar, man. Stellar snake.
So we got tagged in this post by Constrictor Carnivores Canada. And the first question of 7 is, what are your thoughts on pre-ordering animals? I'm assuming when they say pre-order, like selling animals before they've even come out of the egg.
Yeah, or better yet, getting spots in line to get an egg, because I've done both. So
what was your experience with that?
Well, I feel like if you know, let me clear my throat. Excuse me. I got the black lung, Bob. I think that if you know the breeder in the sense of you know them personally, or you've purchased animals from them before, whether it be this particular species that you're going after or a different species, and you're comfortable with that, I think if you're comfortable paying the full amount of the animal before it hatches or even before the eggs are laid, that's up to you. I think it's totally fine. Me personally, I'm more comfortable with like a deposit. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Even if it's a non-refundable deposit. So let's say there's a gecko breeder that has really, really good lineage and good parents, and they've produced before, and I want to get in line, and let's say the gecko is $500. I have no problem giving a $250 deposit, because I know that person's going to produce stuff eventually. And even if it's not that exact clutch, or maybe that clutch goes bad and they want to hold on to the money, for me, that's okay, because I've already invested that money into that animal and I'm going to get something. And worst case scenario, if nothing comes of it and everything goes to shit, well, then I'd like to hope that they at least give me my money back in that regard. Now, that's me personally. I would not do it, either a deposit or the full amount, if I wasn't familiar with that breeder. You know what I'm saying? Or better yet, let's say, Justin has bred everything under the sun and has a sterling reputation, and all of a sudden he gets radiated rat snakes, and he buys a pair of adults, and I'm like, Justin's going to be fantastic with it. He's going to do a great job. He's going to produce a bunch of babies. I want to buy his babies. I'm probably not going to give him money for babies because he's never bred them before. So just because he's fantastic with 30 other species, he just bought these adults. You know, it's going to take a year to establish, maybe work some kinks out. And again, this is purely my opinion. I probably wouldn't do it in that scenario. But someone who's bred animals consistently over and over and over again and has really, really great offspring, I have no problem putting a down payment on it. Now, I like to get on a wait list if possible. And then when the time comes, ante up. And I like that because oftentimes in the past, I didn't prepay for the animal, but I was on the wait list and other people didn't have the money at the time to get their animal. And therefore I could buy their animal too, if that makes sense. So if there's, 5 slots available, 5 eggs available, whatever, and I get one and you get one and Casey gets one and Billy gets one, and all of a sudden you and Casey dip out and I'm next in line, well, then it's up to the breeder to say, okay, do I offer these 2 other eggs to 2 other strangers, or do I give Phil the option to buy 3? And again, that's all comes down onto the buyer and how the breeder wants to do it. So I think, just to reiterate, my opinion is if you're comfortable with the person that's breeding them, their reputation, who they are, what they do, what their animals look like, and you want to go for it, knock yourself out. If you don't, I wouldn't.
Do you have a right to ask for a refund after pre-ordering?
I would say yes, but I would, how do I phrase this? It's very, very conditional, right? It's very conditional. So if all of a sudden your car explodes because it got hit by a bolt of lightning and you need the cash and you want to call up the person and say, hey man, I know I gave you $500 as a payment for that animal, but you got to bump me off the list because I need that money back. My car exploded from a bolt of lightning. Now, you took it upon yourself to give that person that money. So the right thing for them to do would be to honestly give you your money back and then bump you off the list. That would be the right thing to do. But it's also business. And some people don't see it my way. Some people don't think like that. Some people, I don't want to say don't have a conscience, but they don't care. You paid for it. Tough cookies. You're either getting a lizard or a snake or whatever you wanted to buy, or you're getting nothing. And I don't personally think that's cool, but shit happens. So, if it was me, if I did that with someone, well, let me rephrase that. I probably wouldn't do that because I don't like holding people's money. That's just me. I don't want to sell anything until I actually have it in my hand ready to give it to you. That's my personal opinion. But I think it's not inappropriate to ask for your money back if you never got anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I'll answer like my ideas on like my thoughts on the first part as far as pre-ordering. I don't like counting my herps before they hatch.
Exactly. I'm the same way.
I have people that have messaged me about being on a list for something, and I don't really bother with lists either. It's just one of those things where it's like, I feel like for me, when you have a list and you have people sort of waiting, even if it's an unspoken obligation, you feel some sort of responsibility that you now have to have something at some point.
Sure.
And so I'm not a fan of lists for that reason, because it's like, I want to be able to take my time getting something going. Say half the clutch goes bad. Now I only have half the animals I had before. I plan on holding back most of them. I don't want to be like, hey, I know you're on the list, but now you got to wait another year because, this happened.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to have to deal with any of that. Yeah. And that's just me. Like, I like to make it very, very cut and dry, very simple. Like, when I have some available, if there's someone who's been messaging me or has been asking about them on a regular basis, and I remember them, like Joe Rosa, me and him talk a good bit about corn stuff. Mike Kosicki, the gang, like when they're like, hey, what's up with these? Matt Morris, who's a big chondro guy. He was interested in some Diones, and so he's like, what's your plan with these? And because I have a lot of respect for Matt helped out with the chondro issue of the magazine a lot. It's like, dude, I'll let you, like, we'll make something happen. So like I do. It's not that I just say screw you, whatever. I don't do lists.
Yeah.
I do try to remember people if they seem like they have a genuine interest and they are messaging me about updates on things. Like I remember that, and I don't have any problems hitting those people up when things are now available. Before I put things on Morph Market or something, I'll make my rounds and be like, hey, I have this available, or if anyone's interested. And then if they, if that's what moves things, fine. If not, then I'll just put them on Morph Market. Like it's not that big of a deal. But lists to me, it's just it's another thing you have to keep up with.
Sure.
There's that unspoken sort of obligation of sorts or an expectation. And I just think it's just easier to not worry about it. Like I said, if
right.
How many lists have you seen or people talk about lists they had where they finally had something, they message the people and they're like, oh yeah, I don't want those anymore. Like, so I have to go down a list and check off names. Like, okay, they weren't serious. They weren't serious.
Yeah, but at the same time, all right. So I agree with you. I agree with you 110%. And that's why I don't put anything up for sale until I actually have it in hand, ready to rock and roll. And I don't do lists because of everything that you just said. I don't want to do that. I'm very much first come, first serve. But at the same time, I'm kind of hypocritical in that stance because, if I produce Mexican Black Kings and you mention that you want some and, Billy mentions that he wants some, well, obviously you guys are my friends. I'm going to go to you guys first. You know what I mean? Just because we're friends.
See, and I know Sean, like to this, note to self, weekly messages adjusted for 2023 rounders. Like Sean messages me about rhinos and stuff a lot. Like we talk a good bit. So it's like, I know he has an interest in rhinos and he's like serious about it because he checks in. He's like, hey, what's going on with those? And like, I remember these things. Like I do remember conversations with people and I remember them pretty well. So
sure. I also have been that guy where I told someone, hey, the minute you produce, I want them. They're mine. Like set me aside a pair. If you have a pair to sell that you're going to sell, I want first dibs. And they're like, hell yeah, Phil, I got you. And on several different occasions, they've come to me like, hey man, we're ready to rock and roll. I'm giving you first dibs. You want a pair? You want, 4? What you want, a reverse trio? What do you want? And I'm like, okay, how much? And we don't see eye to eye. And I'm like, well, unfortunately, I can't afford that right now, or that's not me. And I tell them flat out, like, look, man, we're friends. I appreciate you giving me top bid, but that's too rich for my blood, or they're not the color that I want, or hey, man, I can't swing it right now. I'm traveling, whatever. Who the hell knows? Shit happens. But
it's almost like reserving a table or reserving multiple tables at multiple restaurants, and then you finally decide which one you want to go to, and you just don't.
Yeah, but it's not like that. It's like you made reservations at the coolest restaurant in town. You finally, it's the day has come. You go to dinner 8 p.m.
Dorsia.
At Dorsia, right? You go 8 p.m. at Dorsia, right? And the sea urchin souffle is $1,000 a plate. And it's like, well, looks like I'm not eating at Dorsia. Which, by the way,
brave Africa, it was a laugh riot.
It was a laugh riot.
I have to return some videotapes.
Do you know anything about the struggles of Sri Lanka?
It's such a good movie, man.
It's one of the greatest movies, man. And I just recently watched it with Anna Maria, and she was like, "You made it out to be way better than it was." I mean, those are my words, not hers.
I can't even watch that kind of stuff with Katie. She's not into the violence or horror or anything like that, which I wouldn't even call it a horror movie. But it's too hardcore. She's just not into it.
My whole thing is that from a cinematography point of view, it's fantastic. A movie made in the 21st century with technology from the 80s when it takes place in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Phenomenal. But we could talk about that another time.
Put Huey Lewis on the map again.
Yeah, I know, man. Dude, I can't listen to Susudio like without thinking of that, Fucking love Phil Collins.
It's funny. Like she talks about how much she doesn't like violent movies, but then she loves Inglourious Bastards.
It's the satirical
odd.
violence. She
I
likes
guess so.
the satirical violence.
I don't know.
So, yeah, I agree with you 110%. I don't do lists. I don't do pre-orders with animals that I've produced in the past or animals that I'm looking to move in the past. It's not my thing. But I'll give you a great example. Trace Harden and his wife, whom, forgive me, I can't remember her name. Stand-up people, man. Fantastic people, great herpers, great breeders. I will vouch for them till the cows come home on any of the animals they produce. I watched him produce Amy I waited. I said, hey, man, I want first crack at him. He said, hey, I kind of like, it's kind of first come, first serve. The time came around. He hit me up. Hey, man, you want a baby? Yes. Hell yes, I want a baby. I get the baby. Baby dies real quick. And I think it could have been a birth issue, birth defect, something. I don't know. It wasn't anything I did. It wasn't anything he did. It's just nature.
These things
happen. So I hit him up and I was like, look, man, I'm not looking for a refund. I just want you as the breeder to know this baby passed away and
be on the lookout for any other issues.
Exactly.
Just a heads up.
I told him flat out, hey, man, keep my money, and give me first dibs next year, and sure as hell, that's what he did. And he actually gave me a credit, which I thought was awesome.
Nice.
So that was stand up of him.
Yeah, and it's just like a professional courtesy kind of thing. Like I've had animals, chondros or something, roll on me, and I messaged, hey, I'm not wanting you to do anything. Like I'm not expecting a refund or replacement. I'm just letting you know.
Yeah, exactly.
This is what happened. I'm not going to go tell everybody in the world that you sold me a 6 snake or anything like that.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just letting you know.
And dude,
that way, when you message me and you ask me how the animal's doing, and it's like, oh yeah, dude, that thing died like a year ago. Like it's a,
he didn't have to give me a credit. He could have said, hey man, sorry, it sucks. Like some other breeders have done to me and lots of other people in the past. But no, he was a stand-up fella and gave me a credit, and I wound up buying more geckos off him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about.
And that's what I would have done.
Right.
Like Billy got a chondro from me from that first clutch, and he ended up losing it. And I'm like, dude, I got you for another one.
Yeah.
I don't know when that's going to be, but
sure.
I do have like the mental list of like, okay, when I have chondros, one's going to Billy. Luke Myers did that for me. Like I had a baby from him that drowned or something. It was an odd situation. It was dead in the water bowl underwater. And this was like months after I'd gotten it from him. He's like, dude, I'll send you another one. And I was like, you really don't have to. Like, it's not, it was my fuck up somewhere along the line, but
sure.
He's like, no, man. He's like, I got you. And so like, it's just stuff like that. And I'm very much about paying it forward. Like I've had so many people, Dr. Lopin's done so much for me and stuff. Like I feel sort of an obligation to pay it forward,
Of course.
And do the same thing. And, it's just.
Now, just to go back to the whole concept of lists and stuff, again, my personal opinion, if you know the breeder and you're comfortable with giving a deposit or giving the full amount for the unborn animal, then that's your thing. Go for it. If it goes south, you can't really be mad because you took it upon yourself to do that, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So
I'm not against lists. It's just something that I see it as, for myself, I see it just as another extra thing I have to keep track of. And as unreliable as people are with actually going through with a purchase and stuff now, it's just like, I've talked about it before. Like everyone complains about tire kickers and stuff. And it's like, look, if you're selling animals, you're going to have to deal with that.
Well, here's the other thing too,
it's not going anywhere. You're not going to get rid of that. It's going to happen.
100%. I'm also a firm believer in yesterday's price is not today's price. Market fluctuates, market changes. That doesn't mean that I'm gonna tell Smitty on a Monday, oh, it's $100, and then Billy on a Tuesday, oh, it's $1,000. No. But market fluctuates, things change. It takes 6 months, a year, 5 years, however long for certain animals to produce, and things go through cycles and changes, and prices change. But it needs to be discussed ahead of time. If you're gonna do some kind of list or some kind of pre-order, don't tell me, when the eggs are laid, that they're going to be $500 a baby, and then the minute they hatch out, they're $2,000, because that's not cool. You know what I mean? Especially if you took my money ahead of time.
If I tell someone a price at time A, and then, you know, be it weeks or months down the road, they want it and they're serious now, like, I'd honor at that price. I'm not going to go and look on Morphmark and be like, oh, well, they've jumped up. They're now 3 times what I asked before. So, like, I'm not
cool.
going to be that guy. I've had that happen to me. I had that happen with dart frogs. So there was a point where I was trying to find some variabilis southerns.
Right.
And there was a point where a ton of people had them, but no one seemed to be breeding them or getting any offspring from them. It was this odd sort of like drought with that species.
Sure.
And there was a guy who was semi-local to me. He was like up in Charleston or something. And, you know, he had talked to me. He's like, I'm going to have some ready soon. Like, I got tadpoles that are about to come out the water. Like, I'm going to have froglets here soon as I get them going and stuff. Like, I'll get you some. And so we agreed on a price, I think, of like $90 for like 3 of them or something, like a really good price.
Yeah.
And so when I hit him up again a couple months later, it might have even been almost a year later, and I was like, "Hey man, are we still doing the variabilis thing?" And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "But the price is now." It was like they went from, I can't remember the exact. Let's just say they went from like 90 for 3 of them, like $30 a piece or $60 a piece. Now they're 90 a piece. And I was like, what happened to the price that we had initially? And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I screenshotted the message because it was the same message on Facebook that we had. And I was like, we talked about this. And he's like, oh, well, I'll honor that. But, they're worth more now. And so I just, honestly, I told him, I was like, no, thanks. Pass. Yeah. Like, I'm not playing that game. Like, that's crap. And never got any. So, and he didn't really understand. He was like, I don't get it. I told you I'd honor the price. I'm like, it's the principle, man.
Yeah,
I don't need frogs that bad. Like,
exactly. And I had that happen with imports where, because I had the ability to be, at Strictly, I saw what the things were being imported for. I saw what Strictly was selling them for, and it was. Needless to say, the breeder of them was selling captive bred babies for triple what I could have bought for a pair of adults. Now, I understand that they're captive bred. I understand there's a lot of TLC and work that got put into them. I understand they're going to do way better than the wild caught adults. But for me, I couldn't justify that. It didn't make sense to me. I couldn't, you know what I mean? So I wound up not doing it. And I think the person may have been upset by that, but I hope that they weren't, because I still value them as a breeder. I still value them as a community, friend. And hopefully I'll buy some babies from them in the future, but at the time it was the price difference between wild caught adults and captive bred babies was like 3 times, and I couldn't swing it. So
yeah, and it's an odd time too, because of the whole tire kicker thing and everyone not wanting to be that guy. Yeah, people will message you, ask for a price, and then if it's too high or it's just something that they're not going to spend the money on, they're going to say, oh, okay, well, I'm going to talk to the wife, or I'm going to get back to you, and they never do. It's like, people, you can get a price and just say thanks.
Yeah.
I've done it before.
Well, I've done it too, man.
Yeah, I feel bad for asking the price, but if they had put the price in the ad in the first place, I wouldn't have to ask you.
Yeah.
But it's not one of those things where, like, you don't have, just because you ask or inquire about something doesn't mean you have to commit to it. It's a simple question. And I think we're at a point, maybe it's not so bad now, I'm not sure, but like, if someone asks me a price, I'm going to give it to them. I'm not expecting them to go, okay, well, some sort of excuse. Well, I got to get my car fixed next week, so I might get back to you in a couple. Like, you don't have to tell me that. Just say thanks. It's all good. Like, I understand.
Exactly.
When I sell stuff now, and I learned this with like cresteds and stuff early on, is like, when someone messages you with interest, I automatically just expect them to not go through with it. And when you do that, you save yourself a lot of frustration, because then you're like expecting people to pay up and expecting them to buy this. Just assume they're not going to.
Yeah.
Just save yourself the trouble. Just don't even get your hopes up. if they do end up buying, awesome. Like customer service should remain the same. Like customer service is going to be
Sure.
awesome, whether they're just asking or if they're actually buying. It's just one of those things where it's okay to just say thanks and move on.
Yeah.
Like I have not necessarily more respect for that than the whole like, well, I have to talk to the wife. Like I get it, and we're at a point now where people are like, man, I'm tired of tire kickers. And it's like, well, did you put a price in the ad? No. Well, it's like, then you're going to get a bunch of messages. People asking
you
the price
have
on
to.
it. Like you're asking for it at that point. And it's like,
Exactly.
it's not tire kicking. It's called shopping.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. It's now I work retail, and the running joke is it doesn't matter what the product is, but the customer will always find that one tag that's flipped upside down and they can't see the price. And they'll always ask. And like we've actually like done social experiment where like we'll flip over certain tags of like stuff that's popular, be like, all right, he's gonna ask. So if you don't post the price, how are they gonna buy it?
Right.
How are they gonna know? They'll never know.
Well, then you just see ads where it's like, please don't message me unless you're serious. Or if like it'll be something super high end, like that doesn't even have a price on the ad. Like I've seen that on Fauna multiple times. Like if you have to ask, you can't afford it. It's like, well, how do I know if I can afford it or not if you're not going to give me a price?
Right. Well,
like, how do I know you're not giving something away practically? Yeah. Which, I mean, obviously you're not, but
yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yes, I see your point wholeheartedly. I don't like that. I think it's very, very douchey. It's very condescending. And I feel like the people that are in that price range of shopping, why is it on Morph Market? Why is it on Fauna? Why is it on King Snake? If it's that top tier, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't go into ABC Liquor and look for a bottle of Pappy Van Winkle 22 year. Like, because guess what? It's not going to be on the shelf. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So why are you posting it on Morph Market and King Snake and all these normal classified ads, good classified ads? I'm not knocking any of those companies or websites at all. But if you're selling something that's 30 grand, like you don't have feelers already put out, like you don't have people that you can call and
you probably already know who's got what.
Exactly.
If you're in that
exactly.
tier, you're already aware of who's got stuff and who's selling it, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's you know, if you have to ask, you can't afford it. My policy is then like, cool, I'm just not going to ask because I'll never
buy from you.
I'm not going to bother with you.
Yeah, that means you're overpriced anyway.
It's like serious inquiries only. Okay, then I'm not going to inquire. Like, I don't care enough that much, you know.
Yeah. And like you said, man, how many times I've been like, hey, how much is the XYZ? And they literally just reply with, 500. And I just go, okay, thanks.
Yep.
Or better yet, I'm very, very bashful when asking for a discount. I'm weird like that. I think it's all my years of retail, but there's been plenty of times where it's like, hey, how much is the bowl and I? And they're like, oh, it's $100. And I go, okay, would you take 75 if I buy 3 of them? Like I don't think there's anything wrong with scenarios and haggling like that.
If I have something, like if I have multiple things available and someone's like, okay, I really like this, but I also want this and this, like I'll cut you a break.
Yeah.
I have no problem like I'm not making, this isn't my living. Like I have no problem shaving some dollars off. It's when people come in and expect it, that's when I have an issue.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Well, all right. So you and I are very much on the same page, a lot of this stuff. What was the next question?
So my response to do you have the right to ask for a refund after pre-ordering? My short answer is going to also be conditional, but my business brain says if it's a non-refundable discount, down payment, then
right, but that needs to be specified.
But it's one of those things where it's like if you're that strapped for money to where you now have to ask me for a refund, then you probably weren't in a great position to be buying it in the first place.
That's true.
Like the fiscal responsibility is on you, not me.
That's true. But again, wasn't the question if the product or the animals were not provided?
Do you have the right to ask for a refund after pre-ordering?
Oh, so it doesn't specify whether the animal's there or not.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, business brain says that yeah, sure. I don't care because I'll sell it to somebody else. You know what I mean? But at the
Yeah.
same time, if it's a non-refundable deposit and it's clearly stated non-refundable deposit, then yeah, you can't ask. But if it's not stated in that regard, then I guess you could ask. I mean, shit happens. Have a heart to a certain extent.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. So does the seller have to hold the pre-order deposit until the buyer receives the animal, or can they spend it immediately? So this is something that I have actually made. I learned with Cresteds, and fortunately, I've never had any issues where it was a problem where it was like I made sure to hold on to the money until I knew the animal arrived safe and intact, because I didn't want to be the guy that went and spent that money and now they're like the gecko died or whatever. And now I have to either replace it or refund it. So to me, it's just wiser to hold on to it until they've received the animal and everything is in the clear
100%.
than the nightmare of, oh, well, I need to, I'll send you something in a month, or I'll do something in 6 months. Like, I'll refund you as soon as I can, but I don't know when it's going to be, like that kind of thing. I don't want to be in that position. So
110%. I agree with you fully. You know, I literally just went through that with something through my work where I sold one of my own personal items through my work. I mean, I guess you could call it consignment. I mean, it's not really consignment, but and it was sold on the internet and the product shipped out, and obviously the money was paid to the business. It wasn't paid to Phil. So my employer then has to give me my money, but he does not give me my money until the customer has the product, everything is good, everything's kosher, and then the company pays me my money. Because God forbid there's something happens, it's lost in shipping, it's damaged, it's broken, whatever. I don't want to have to tell that guy tough cookies.
Yeah.
This is a real business. It's not Phil selling it on his own. It's a real legit business, and we have to, take care of business. So
yeah,
just to go back to what Lance was saying about, I have to ask my wife kind of thing. He puts up a great point. Lance says, my favorite part is when they insult you, when they say that you're going to speak with your wife because you two truly speak about such decisions, and they treat you as less of a human for couple decisions. I understand what he's saying completely. And I feel like all my years in retail, I can kind of get the vibe of when a guy says, oh, I need to talk to my wife about this. It's a big purchase, whatever. I get that. And then you get the guy that's like, oh, hi, let me go ask the boss. I don't know. She'll kill me if I buy it. Ha ha. And that guy is not making couples decision. He's using his wife to basically, it's the out. Right.
Yep.
So I don't get upset, and I don't break their stones too much about it. If I know the guy, maybe I will. If I know his wife, maybe I will, but
it just makes me giggle when I see it, because it's like, okay, buddy, like,
yeah, because you can tell when it's
say no. Like,
yeah, you can tell when it's the out, and you can tell when it's a legitimate thing. Yeah. Or better yet, you can always get the vibe too, is when he's like, hey man, before I go through with this, let me talk to my wife and make sure that like we got caging. Let me make sure that my wife didn't buy something else. Like have actual talks with your actual partner. That's totally cool. I got no problem with that. You're not a wuss or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know about you, but I have a joint banking account with my wife, and I can't exactly go and drop.
Yeah.
So I ask for forgiveness over permission. Not always the best move. Yeah, you're walking right into the lion's den on that one, buddy.
Yeah, Chris.
Do we want to go ahead and draw for the isopods?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's
right.
rock and roll.
Rock and roll. Let me get my
rock and roll hoochie coo.
Give it the old preliminary shake.
The jiggle jaggle. So ominous.
Get it rolling a few times. Can y'all hear it?
Of course.
Sweet sound of winnings.
The sweet sound of winnings.
All right. Who do we got? Uh-oh. Number 2. Bill Bradley.
Hey. Excelente.
Look at that.
Congratulations, Bill.
Awesome.
More roly-polies for the bio.
You could put them in them new black box cages he's setting up.
Oh yeah. Speaking of which, I gotta call Jen and talk about the other cages that I got coming. But I had a legit sit down. Speaking of couples decisions, I had a legit sit down with Anna Maria, and I was like, "Hey, I really need to start on some arts and crafts stuff for animal enclosures, and I'd really love you to do it with me. Help me sculpt some styrofoam, and we have fun of it. The arts and crafts." And you know what her response was?
Date night.
You know what her actual, real, legit response was?
Gross.
Sent me links from Amazon from Hot Wire Foam Factory. And that is why I love her. She's like, "We need these." I was like, "How many should we get?" She's like, "We need at least 2. We each need our own set." I was like, "Okay." Solid date night.
Nice.
#keeper.
So the next part of this post, like I said, there's like 7 questions. Number 4 is, should the seller use the pre-order deposit to pay for current animal food and bills, or wait until the buyer has received the animal? And that sort of falls in line with the previous question.
No.
I'm not going to do it.
No, not at all. No, that money,
you're better off just letting it sit until it's all said and done.
You hold on to those funds in case shit happens. The money that you paid for feeders and paper towels and your water bill and your electricity bill and all the stuff that you use to take care of the animals, if they didn't sell, yeah, you can factor those things into the price. But that's what you're doing. You're factoring into the price. You can't say, "Oh, you give me a $500 deposit, and I'm only going to honor 300 of it because I used 200 of feeders."
Sorry, dude.
No, I'm out. No.
5th question is, if the animal dies or they are limited in quantity, should the seller notify with a solution/refund immediately, or wait until the next season when they might have more?
But both. The one fuels the other. In my opinion, it needs to be immediate and say, "Hey, baby passed away, whatever."
Yeah, there needs to be open lines of communication and
exactly.
transparency there.
And me personally, if I was the seller, I would ask the customer, "What do you want to do? Do you want your money back right now, or do you want me to hold on to your money and credit you for another animal?" In which case, I would still hold on to the money for an extended period of time. I would not just dump it in the bank account or spend it. I would hold on to the money for an extended period of time, because they may change their mind in 2 months, 3 months. Now, 6 months, 8 months, a year later, that's different. That's another whole nother topic. But I've had people like, "Yeah, just hold on to it, and we'll credit for the next season or next clutch, whatever." And then like 2 weeks later, like, "Hey man, I changed my mind. I don't even want to do that species anymore. Give me my money back."
Yeah.
So
I don't know. See, that's I differ there. It's like, I'm just going to give you your money back if that's what you want. Like, if you want to wait on an animal, then I'm holding on to that money, and I'm going to do with it what I will, because we're on the same page and it is agreed upon that you're going to wait for a replacement animal.
Sure.
And I mean, I guess if it comes down the line a couple months later, they're like, "Hey, can I just get a refund instead?" I'd be like, "Yeah, I mean, I can't, I may not be able to give it to you all at one time. Like, I may have to split it. But we can do that as long as you're okay with it being like, I'll give it to you like the second week of the month and then the last week of the month, or whatever, however it needs to happen." Like that's one thing, but I think it's also, you get these things in writing. And I think, like, honesty definitely is the best policy for the most part. I mean, how many times have we seen people sold an animal died, they didn't tell the buyer for months because they were trying to figure out some other option, and then it made it worse. It made you look like a real douchebag, and everyone else sees that now too. So
I'll also say that there is, this is all what if scenarios. All these are what if scenarios. You'll never know exactly how it's going to go down until you're put in that predicament. But what Justin and I are trying to convey to everyone is, at least have the groundwork laid out, you know, the text message contract, if you will, laid out, but
Screenshots.
But there's
When in
also,
doubt, get screenshots.
yeah,
If you're worried about these things, or
I've
someone
had people
kinda,
delete messages. I've had people do it. But I was gonna say there's also really, really extreme scenarios. For example, I sold stuff to a guy, and before I could ship it, he messages me and he's like, "Hey man, my work is moving me to Australia, so I'm gonna need my money back." And it's like, okay, you know, what are you gonna do? Like, the guy's, whether he moved to Australia or not, I gotta believe him in that
sometimes it's just
scenario.
easier to just do it.
And yeah, exactly. Give him the money back. I'll sell it to somebody else. It's not the end of the world, and go from there. You know. Now, I also, non-animal related, I bought something off of a guy. This is completely unrelated. I bought something off of a guy that had paperwork attached to it, and the paperwork was mailed to his house. That's how it works. And then once he gets the paperwork, he mails it to me. No big deal. Paperwork takes like 6 to 8 months. Well, that dude legit moved to Australia, and I never got the paperwork, and I had to have certified copies made 16 months later. So shit happens. You got to roll with the punches, you know, but just try and spell everything out ahead of time, so that when these issues, not when, but if these issues do happen, you know, you're mentally prepared for it. So.
And so these other questions are kind of falling in line with the previous question before it. But what happens if the seller has already spent the pre-order deposit and the buyer is asking for a refund? Should the buyer have to wait, or should the seller have no choice but to refund immediately? And I think it's just the open lines of communication. Like, you need to be upfront, be like, how do you, like, because you're both involved in this, like, you're both in this now,
right?
So it's one of those things where it's like, okay, how do you want to do this? How do you want to play it? How do you want to handle it? And you just got to agree on something.
I hate to sound like that guy, but sometimes it may be a punch to the solar plex, but sometimes you got to chalk it up as a loss. You know what I mean? Especially if, you know, we're dealing in a day of age where everything's on the internet and people are shady sometimes, and there's scammers out there, and you got to have your head on a swivel in that regard. So sometimes, I mean, we've all been burned in one way or another by somebody. Sometimes it's someone close to us, sometimes it's someone very far away, and sometimes it just sucks, and you just got to chalk it up as a loss, you know? So
the final question is, do you think advertising or pre-ordering animals that haven't been born yet is a good or bad idea? Bad. We're not talking about the new Call of Duty here, where we know we're going to have 500 copies in the back.
Yep.
We're talking about things that can go south very quickly, because there's a lot of things that are out of your control when it comes to stuff like,
it's a living creature.
Well, not even that, just like power outages, things fail. The world's in a perfect place. Thermostats break, incubators break.
Yeah.
Eggs don't hatch.
Hey, it just going back to paying for, you know, stuff. The breeder, God forbid, could have got hit by a bus.
Yeah.
Never hear from him ever again. You know, who knows?
Yep. He ghosted me. Well, if you look, he actually got struck by lightning 2 days after you had a talk with him. And
right.
So I'm not. Yeah, I don't really see that anywhere. I don't know if it's a thing in like balls or something. I've never seen someone. Well, I have seen like one or two people doing it, but it was mostly friends pointing it out and saying, "What do you think about this?" And you're rolling the dice if you want to be that guy that likes to really ruffle feathers when things go south. Like, go for it. But to me, it's dumb.
Yeah, I get it.
Johnny Barrett said, how do you figure out how much to sell an animal for if it has never been sold publicly? I feel that it's a situation where you were just asking to be the bad guy no matter what you price it at.
That's a very Vast question.
If you're the first guy to do it, you kind of set the standard. I mean, I think at it like I would look at it from from the standpoint of like how hard are they to produce, how hard are they to get established once they've hatched, how many other people are really working with them, like as availability wise, in your given country, be it over in Europe or here in the States, and then overall, like how much time did you put into producing that animal and establishing it yourself? Like we talk about that with chondros a lot, where it's like chondros are expensive because you're paying for the work that was put into getting it to the point to where you don't have to worry about it really at all.
Right.
Like that's what you're paying the premium for. So I would think, depending on what species we're talking about, if there's one in particular, like that's all the things I factor in when it comes to that kind of stuff. I also feel like I'm pretty bad about underpricing things. Like when it comes to sort of estimating and selling stuff, because I do it for me too, like in the job market and stuff. Like I tend to go slightly lower than what it probably should be.
Okay.
But also it being not being my full-time job, or it's not that big of a deal to me if it ends up being $50 cheaper than what it should have been. It's whatever. I'm not going to be upset because I missed out on a couple bucks.
Sure. Yeah, and Bill Bradley says, treat it like any other asset, figure real costs and then your time cost. I agree completely. But I also feel like there is a fine line between making money on it because you are the first and highway robbery. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're not, because I mean the ball python market is its own monster, it's its own thing. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the rest of the herpetocultural community. If I purchased an animal for $200 20 years ago and I'm finally at a point where I'm ready to sell offspring and there hasn't been any available for 20 years, does that mean I sell it for 10 grand a baby?
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, probably not. No, it also comes down to how niche the animal is, because if the only people that are actually interested in that species can only afford up to say $1,000, well, then you can't sell it for more than that because no one's going to buy it, you know? And
well, that's sort of the whole, like, the market will sort itself out kind of thing. And I hate using the term market when it comes to herps and stuff, but it is one of those things where it's, if you set something really high and it sits there for 3 months because no one is going to pay that, then you have it set high. Like you can't stick it out and just say, okay, I'm going to stick to my guns and maybe it'll take a year to sell, whatever. But you also, like, I noticed that on Morph Market where stuff will be posted and then over time you notice it doesn't move and that price just gradually drops, and it gets to a point where then it's like, okay, now we're in the realistic parameters of what this should probably be selling for. It works itself out because people aren't going to pay what they're not going to pay. You know what I mean?
You can also go the penny route too, which I don't know if Morph Market will actually let you do this, but can you post something for penny auction?
I don't think so. No.
Okay. Well, the rule of thumb is you put something up for no reserve, right? And whatever it goes for, that's your market value. So if I have something that's worth $500, right, and I put it up for opening bid, no reserve, $10, and the thing only sells for $100, well, guess what? It's not worth 500. It's worth 100 because the people that are actively seeking that thing out, whatever it may be, inanimate, animate, whatever, the people that are seeking that thing out, they're going to find it. And if they want to pay the money for it, they're going to pay the money for it. And don't get me wrong, you could think it's worth 500, put it up for $10 and it sees 1,000. It could. And then now like, hey, this sold for 1,000 2 or 3 times. Clearly that's the market value. Now I know what to sell it for.
Yeah. I mean, when I used to sell stuff on eBay a lot, and anytime I posted something, I was never setting the price at what else was currently for sale. I went to what was sold and looked at what they sold for,
of course,
rather than what people are trying to get out of it.
Well, but I think what he was trying to say is something, Johnny, by the way, I feel like what Johnny was trying to say is that it's something that's never been sold before.
Right.
Whether it be a new morph or a locality specific animal or something that's incredibly difficult to breed. And let's say it hasn't been captively produced in decades, whatever. That comes back to that whole thing of how niche is it that only certain individuals are going to do it. And if those individuals aren't willing to pay, well, then it's not worth what it in theory could be worth. So it's very, very specific.
Class are probably a good example. Like the people that are in the market for Class they're looking for Class like they know what they cost. Like they're gonna know sort of a roundabout what they're gonna need to have when one pops up for sale.
But let's put it this way. Obviously, that's a very difficult species, both to raise and breed. But imagine if you dialed them in, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And you produced a clutch and you sold them to other people that could dial them in, but you sold them for $200 each. You didn't publicly post it. You found those people. And we've talked about this before with other, very, very hard to breed species. You get it in the right hands, That would be wonderful for the species because now more people that are going to be dialed in are going to produce it. And as long as they keep the cost down, now it's more attainable and we all benefit from it.
Mm-hmm.
But people don't want to necessarily do that. They don't want to sell a $5,000 snake for $200. They want to sell a $5,000 snake for $10,000. Mm-hmm. So and that's the issue.
Yeah. It's an odd thing. I mean, I don't think it's something you really see much in herpetoculture for the most part. I think Boelens are kind of what comes to mind for everybody. Bolins, however you want to pronounce it.
Yeah.
But I feel like Class are a good example.
But both of those species are also directly affected by the reverse Google search. So somebody in the Western world posts them for $5,000 a baby, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now the farms in the East, they have the internet too. They see that stuff and they think, well,
why are we selling them so cheap?
Right. Why are we selling them so cheap? So they jack their prices up. Well, now the Westerners say, oh, now it costs me 3 times as much. I got to jack my prices up too. And it's just it's a vicious cycle. And I don't like that. I don't think that's good. But at the same time, who am I to deprive the East from making the same margins that the West is making?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a difficult topic.
And the higher you go in terms of price, like the smaller your customer base gets.
Sure.
It's like car shopping. Like not everyone's going to go out and be looking for a Lambo.
Yeah.
Like if I got Toyota money, you're not going to find me at the Lexus dealership trying to, get my or Mercedes is probably a better example. If I'm looking to get another Avalon, I'm not going to be going and looking at G-Wagons.
Yeah.
If I had G-Wagon money, then I'd be going and looking at G-Wagons. But
sure.
Like I said, it bottlenecks. The further up you get, the thinner that group becomes.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things where it's like they set those prices for those because they know that the customer base that is in the market for that can afford it.
Now, Mike Kosicki just posted, he says, niche like Mexican Black Kings. In my opinion, that is a great example because it wasn't the fact that they weren't around that drove the price up. It was the fact that no one was producing them.
Supply and demand.
Because the people that used to produce them, they produced so many of them, they were just sick of it. And they were like, they aren't selling like they used to. It's a $40 snake. Why am I going to keep putting mom through this? Why am I going to keep putting myself through this? Well, take a couple years off. Well, then you had almost 10 years with none of them. And now all of a sudden someone's like, you know what? I haven't bred a Mexican Black King in a while. Let's do that this year. And they're like, oh man, there isn't any available. Well, it's not $40 anymore. Now it's $500. Well, no, it shouldn't be. But again, who am I to deprive someone of making, revenue? So
And that's been the debate with chondros within, during COVID and stuff. Like chondro prices got crazy, and
They did.
Ian Bissell, he sells some chondros, and like you see prices, and it's like, man, like that's like people are willing to pay it, and it's one of those things where a lot of chondro folks are like, if they're willing to, shell out the dough, then hey, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Just on the captive bred stuff in particular, like imports, they have gone up, but it doesn't seem like they've had any sort of massive jump, especially Beox. But
well, I will say this is that chondros aside, there's a lot of stuff that is not being imported anymore because the price is too high, and not everyone can make the right percentage. It's not worth it, right?
Yeah.
So,
but that's why we see a lot of species that just stop getting imported too, because they brought in I feel. Tandem bars are probably a good example of this. They used to come in droves from what I was told by, guys like Harlan Wall and stuff. Like they used to come in all the time. They were dirt cheap. Nobody wanted them. So they stopped. Like the people that were out snatching them up from the wild, they were told no one's buying these anymore. Stop catching them. Like stop bringing them to us. And so they kind of disappeared because the people that are doing the importing and exporting, the people that are bringing them in are saying no one's buying these, stop sending them to me,
right?
Which then in turn the exporters telling their people, stop bringing these to us, we're not sending them out anymore, no one wants them. And they move on to other things. They move on to things that are selling.
Well, you look at something that was heavily farmed and heavily captive bred, like West African gaboon vipers. Dude, gaboon viper back in the day was a $40 snake. They'd import it for $25, make a couple bucks, $40, $50. Ooh, it's a really pretty one, sell it for $75. And that dude, that's all they were. Well, then the importers started seeing that they're selling these captive bred babies for $75. I'm like, oh well, we should sell our wild caught babies for $75. And they don't care that it's not the same. I don't dare I say quality. I don't want to be rude or condescending to those animals, but now that means everything increases. There was a point where Tanzania shut down, and baby puff adders, regardless if it was captive bred or wild caught, baby puff adders were selling for almost $800 on king snake. Crazy. And I actually had a friend who imported like one of the last shipments from Tanzania, and he put them up for like $350, thinking, I don't want to be greedy, let's spread the wealth. And certain individuals contacted him and said, dude, you're screwing us up. Raise your price. And it's like, what?
See, that shit I hate.
What are we
too.
doing?
It's
what are we doing?
I'm not going to quote unquote, crash a market with my 10 animals I'm selling.
Right. Exactly.
Like, get out of here. You're just mad because I'm getting sales and you're not.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's so goofy. And when I was breeding cresteds too, that was something I saw a lot in like the groups and stuff, was people were like, well, I want to breed. And people are like, well, the market's really flooded. If you're going to breed, you need to make sure that, you're using really high quality cresteds, not just pet quality, which was something I always hated, was breeder quality versus pet quality. It's like, it's a living, breathing thing, people.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like, yes, there is something to it where it's like, if you're going to breed, spend some money on your breeders. Like, produce some nice animals, not just your random Craigslist cresteds. Don't just throw them together. You're just going to get brown babies.
Yeah.
No one's really going to want them unless they're looking for a pet, and they don't really care about that. But people always complained about, like, people would want to breed, and people would be like, the market's really flooded, you shouldn't breed. But it's the people that are breeding that are telling everyone else the market's flooded, don't come here. And it was I had no problem selling cresteds, and I wasn't even producing that many. Yeah. So I was like, if the market's really as flooded as everyone's saying it is, everyone would stop breeding them.
Yeah.
But cresteds are like balls in that aspect, where it's like there's never going to be enough of them. There's always going to be people buying them. And just even when you think that it's completely filled up, like how is there possibly any room for any more growth and more people coming into this breeding? Like, there is.
Yeah.
You may not see it, but it exists. Like, it's much bigger. Like, it's the iceberg thing, where it's like you see a small portion of it, but underneath that, it's like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Because that's what I always thought with ball pythons and stuff, was like, how can anyone possibly get into breeding balls now and still be able to sell animals on a regular basis? And in talking to some of the ball python people, they're like, dude, we can't keep enough snakes in stock. Like, it's
But I also take that
unbelievable.
with a big grain of salt, because I've seen a lot of I don't want to say like Island of Misfit Toys, but I've seen a lot of crested geckos sit in pet shops. I've seen a lot of ball pythons sit in pet shops. So yeah, these big breeders may be moving them, but is it all making its way to the end user? That's the question. So I see.
I mean,
the point,
you're kind of. I mean, you're shooting for that impulse buyer. I think at a lot of pet shops like that, but
possibly, yeah.
like if I'm looking to buy a crested, specifically like a say a nice tricolor or something, I'm not gonna go to Petco looking for tricolors.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
So I don't know, but that always just made me giggle. People, the people that are big players in the crested world in terms of like breeding and what they're doing are like, oh, the market's really flooded. You're not gonna be able to sell any babies. I was like, I didn't produce a ton of them, and they sold pretty regularly for me, with very little in the way of like advertising and stuff. Like,
but now at the same time, how long ago was that?
2016, 2017.
Okay, so not that long ago. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Because that was kind of a concern. Like, I started getting a bunch of babies. I'm like, man, I hope these, I hope I don't have to sit on these forever. But I'd have people message me on Facebook, what do you got? I'm like, here you go. Sold no problem.
Yeah. Oh, and you know what's crazy? The invert market right now.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, it's booming.
Making a big comeback. Yeah.
Booming, man. And that's I love seeing that, because now you have a whole new group of individuals keeping, and you have a whole new group of individuals producing. It's not just like, oh, I got a wild caught scorpion and it happened to be gravid. No, like, people are really putting stuff together and doing it up. And like, I see it on Instagram, man, killing it. I love it. It's great.
Well, it's all inverts and herpeticulture, go hand in hand, but it's like any other population. Like, you have people getting out every day, and you have new people coming in every day. So there's sort of like it is growing steadily, but I do think it's a very even, like,
it's a gradual increase regardless.
Right.
Yeah. What was the next question?
That was all of them.
Oh, nice. All right. Those are great questions.
Yeah. That was
a few of them kind of went hand in hand, but I think they were good questions that we don't get to talk about that often. So that's good. And I also think it's cool that let me rephrase that. I'm happy to give my opinion, because I am not a breeder and I have not produced a lot of animals. And to be brutally honest, I haven't produced anything in a very long time. So I like to give my opinion, because things have changed since I really did this stuff. So I'm eager to see what the future holds and how things go from there. So
barbecue.
Everyone needs barbecue in their life.
Yeah. He said he's up in New York. I feel like they don't get real barbecue up there the same way we don't get like real pizza down here.
That's true. That's very true.
We have New York style, but I feel like unless you're there, it ain't the same.
Well, are we ready for the carpet roll?
I think so.
Let's do it, baby.
Let's see. All right. Same thing.
Shake it up, baby. Shake it up good.
I'm out. Gotta make sure I cover up so I don't send these little plastic balls everywhere, because when they disappear for good.
Gone forever.
So once again, number 18 is not in here. It is number 38. So if I draw 38, it's 18. We'll figure that out.
Here we go.
With a couple turns. All right, are we ready? Let's see. Oh, hold on a second. It shot out too, and I don't know which one was first. It's not a perfect system, people. I didn't even pick one up that time. Come on, you bitch. All right.
Here goes.
Bring up the list.
For the baby carpet python.
Shipped by our good people at Reptiles Express.
Yes. The mics.
Gotta do it again. It was number 10. Number 10 is empty.
Damn. Ooh, the suspense. And yet Lance makes a great point. You know, Lance says that's one of the reasons he thinks Cresties would make great feeder lizards. I don't think we're there yet, but I definitely think it is very, very possible. Very possible. So,
all right. Number 1.
Number 1.
Bill Bradley.
Oh, twice in one night.
Man.
What are the odds? Congratulations, Bill. That's awesome, man. That's great. Good for him. You know,
fuck yeah.
And what's great is, you know, that animal is not just going to a good home. It's going to a good home that's going to be used to educate the youth of America in this. And that's awesome. That's awesome.
We are the youth of a nation.
Oh, man. Awesome.
Give
Congrats,
it to
Bill.
Billy and breed it to a chondro.
Oh, jeez.
I'm just gonna draw a new name because of that.
Yeah. Oh, I love carpondros, but bro, I just got done saying how you're gonna use it.
You're gonna use it for good.
Educate children. It's like hybrids. Do it.
All right. So, Bill, I will hit you up and we will figure out shipping and all that good stuff. Brenda, if you're still there, I will get the cup sent out to you, and then we will have to figure out get the isopods and stuff over to Bill as well. So it's a female. Is it a male? I got a breeder female Brettles here with nothing to do. That's my female Brettles. Don't you dare cross into something else. You sicko. I did not send her to you to do those nefarious deeds.
Is he cut off from Raffles now?
He's about to be.
God. Oh, Bill.
Don't press your luck, guy.
Oh, man. That's great, though. That's good stuff. I love doing these things, man. So what was the final total again? Going to ASF?
I'm looking it up right now. Let me see. Calculator. +6 $740.
Excellent. Hell yeah, man.
I like it.
That's our best one yet, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome.
Excellent. Yeah, so we've got some other stuff lined up for the next raffle. Do we want to do one for June? Like, do we want to wait like a week or two and then do the June one?
We can figure it out off air.
Yeah, we'll have to. I don't want to like do a raffle and then immediately have another one ready to go. Like, want to sort of pace it for people. That way, people aren't.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
You know what I mean.
Yeah.
Awesome. Congratulations to all, Bill and Brenda.
Hell yeah, man.
The it couple. Did you have anything else?
No, I'm pretty much good. Did you figure out who you're going to have replace me temporarily next week?
Oh, because you're going to Arizona. I have not. I forgot.
Okay. We'll have to figure something out. Maybe I'll pop my head in if I have service.
Yeah, I'll figure something out.
Yeah. Who's on Thursday?
So we were doing Corn Stars Thursday.
Ooh, nice.
Chris Montross is joining us, and I believe Jake is going to join us as well.
Excellent.
It was kind of a short notice thing. Chris was like, "Hey, Thursday." I said, "Okay." And I told Jake, I was like, "We're not doing THP Thursday. We're going to talk about Emery and corn snakes. So don't be trying to come up in here with that Nerodia speak."
Especially with Montross there.
Yeah.
That'll be great. You know it's going to happen at some point.
Yeah, but I mean, seeing his, like going over and seeing his Nerodia and stuff, they are pretty cool.
They're awesome, man. Just not
like
for me.
In a captive setting. I was like, these are okay. These are actually kind of cool. I'm not going to lie. In the wild, when they smell and all they want to do is bite, then it's like, fuck these things. But he's got some nice ones. So it better not be all Nerodia after 5 minutes. I'm going to kick his ass out.
Hey, Mike's a fortune teller, man. I love it.
Him and Jake and Montross can have their own little show on Nerodia.
And well, dude, and doesn't
Corn Stars
Panchop likes him too, right?
I'm sure he does. I don't think
he keeps them.
He hasn't had any, but
I know he does love his Diamondbacks. So
it was just funny going over and seeing Jake's, man, because you open the tub and like you just get these little heads that just kind of pop out and they're like, "What you got?"
Like the little green aliens in Toy Story.
Yeah.
The claw. Oh. That's awesome.
He what was the ones, man? He had some that I think they were like Citrus, Florida, and they almost looked like canteals. Like they had that weird white speckling. I should have got pictures while I was there. I got the video, but
that's cool.
I was like, okay, I saw those and I was like, okay, those are pretty cool. And he's like, yeah, dude. He's like, they're also super chill in comparison to like the Ponchatulas and stuff, which look completely different. Like the Ponchatulas are nice too. Like those almost look like painted, like watercolor camo kind of just.
Yeah.
Seeing him in person, I had a better appreciation for him. So
awesome. Glad to hear it.
Yeah. All right. Well, this was episode 122 brought to you by blackboxcages.com. Video on Jake's setup with them coming soon. And Puget Sound Pythons. Check them out. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all that good stuff. We will be back Thursday for Corn Stars episode, I think it's 6, maybe 7. I don't know. I'm also due for a ConjureCast show. So
yeah, you are.
Maybe I'll do that Monday instead.
Yeah. Rock and roll.
That might not be a bad idea. We'll see. So
all right.
Everyone have a good evening, good morning, good day, whenever you may be listening to this.
Thank you to everyone who participated in this month's raffle. We're going to have more of them, and it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, we got some black box stuff lined up for that. I'll be putting up some animals at some point when I have some hatch.
Awesome.
And I think JT has agreed to put up some corns.
Cool,
double
man.
Check. He mentioned it. So, yeah, good stuff coming. So,
awesome.
Thanks all.
Bye.